Hello? Can anyone hear me? No sound, says Dragos. Dragos, it's been a while. How are you and your yellow background? Hopefully everyone can hear me now. Yes? I think the audio is off. Yes, I can. Okay. Don't know what happened to the big microphone. We'll go with this one again, and I will do more testing this weekend. Hello, Pallavi. Hello, Linda. Z0. Karishma, hi. Hi, I'm Debbie Levitt from Delta CX, and my microphone went weird, and I don't know why. So, hi. Thanks for joining for the Friday Practicing Critical Thinking stream. As we do on Fridays, we're going to be taking a look at things that you send in. And if you would like to send them in, just follow this link, deltacx.com/links, and you will find a link to send stuff in for the Critical Thinking stream, and we'll take a look at it. We have a long show today. I think y'all sent in 15 things. We're going to have a lot of critical thinking to do. So there's that. So yeah, good to see everybody in the chat room. This is super. So sorry again about the audio thing, and will be fixed. Live stuff. Z0 says, I have a UX researcher interview in an hour, but I'm here for a while. Well, that is great. Good luck. Let us know how it went. Fingers crossed, hold thumbs, whatever you do, wherever you live. So let me switch my browser to my window, and let's see. This should show, let's see. Yes, it does show it. And of course, let's also quickly thank all of the low ego action heroes who are donating to the YouTube channel at the mid-level or senior level. Totally optional, but always appreciated, the financial support, but again, totally optional. So thanks to everybody who's donating, especially Ray, who moved up from mid-level to senior level. So thank you so much there. All right, just checking that we're still looking at the right things. Okay, super. So remember, this is the critical thinking stream, which means as we're looking at these things, I want to see you commenting in the chat with your critical thinking questions and your comments so that you are joining in. And you can see by my browser tabs, we have a bunch of things to look at today. So this is a Medium article from last year. I feel like we've seen this one before, but we'll take a quick look at it. Can user research hurt more than help? Now, the first going to write an article, remember that sometimes people see the title and see nothing else. You want to make sure that your title gives them a good idea of what is in your article. Baity, like I think this one is. We run the risk that somebody sees this, maybe a manager, a leader, an executive, and they say, oh, sometimes user research hurts more than it helps. Why should we bother? She's an expert and she's saying this. All right, I don't even have to read it. I think I got it. Now, of course, that's not what she's saying in the article. So again, this is where I advise people to not use clickbait titles or inflammatory titles because you run the risk that someone sees the title, draws a conclusion about what your article is. And in fact, we'll actually see that later in another one. And that's what happens. So ultimately, this article isn't that bad. It says, here are some key mistakes you might be making in user research. And if you're making these key mistakes, it might be working against you, like you're talking to the wrong audience. Of course, we know how important recruiting is and making sure you're talking to the right audience. So that makes sense, yes. She says your research has the wrong focus or you're using the wrong methods. Sure, these are absolutely situations in which research can go not so well. Asking the wrong questions. Sure, we've talked about that a lot on this channel. Hi, Steph. So yeah, you're doing the wrong analysis or your study was inconclusive, but you move forward anyway. You are falling prey to confirmation bias. So I'm just blowing through this article, but I would have to say, based on some of her headlines and subheadlines, it seems like an article I could generally agree with, that these are definitely mistakes that researchers make that can hurt more than they're helping. But I probably would have written a different title for the article in case somebody only looked at the title, which again, we're going to see an example of in another thing we're talking about today. So if you have any critical thinking questions or comments to add, write them in the chat as we are going. I would love to see them and read them out loud and share them and respond to them. So, uh, okay, let's move on to the next one in that case. And if any late comments come in, I will return back to them. Okay, this was a LinkedIn post from Tony, who I am connected to on LinkedIn, but have to admit I don't know him that well. And it is a long post, so I did happen to read it earlier, so I'm going to give you the general summary of it. And basically, he is saying, be careful when you are having people look at your portfolio, because you might be having someone look at your portfolio who isn't even in a position to hire, who isn't a hiring manager. If you are having peers look at your portfolio, they might not be looking at your portfolio from the perspective of the manager or hopefully UX expert who would be possibly hiring you, which means you could get some bad advice, even if people feel like they're being helpful or they feel like they're giving good advice. And so he's saying, look out, be careful, check the background of this person. He's suggesting that they have at least 10 years in specialized UX work before they look at your portfolio. I can't really disagree with this. I think that that is good advice. I very often say that you don't want advice from people with fewer than 5 or 7 years in UX specialties, not UI, UX, or something like that. And if he wants to say 10 for portfolio reviews, because with that number of years, they're more likely to be a hiring manager, I can go for that too. So yeah, nothing too wild here. Hi, Craig. We're doing critical thinking. How are you? So nothing really here that I can kind of pick apart or question. I thought he laid out his case very well. He gave you an example. He talks about what to do. Remember, we're always talking here about meaningful, actionable, helpful. Does he, instead of just warning you away from something, does he tell you what to look for and what to do about it? And so I really like the idea that this is definitely actionable. He's telling you, don't just go for the free portfolio review with the person who doesn't have enough experience. So yeah, I can certainly agree with this article. I will give it 5 dogs out of 5. And I would give you similar advice. Okay, let's move on to the next one, see if anybody has something they want to add on this. So this person who is the co-director at whatever Habit Factory space is, reshared their own post saying you can spend 14 days building a portfolio on your own, or you can spend 14 days building your website, growing interpersonally, and hearing feedback from a community of other creatives. Picture it as a snapshot of what you can expect when you join us for our 14-day portfolio building workshop. If you want to join us, shoot me a DM, which probably means we are not going to find out what this costs. We're not, are we? So this probably costs something. Otherwise, this person would say free portfolio workshop. And funny enough, if we take Tony's advice from the last thing we looked at, we would want to make sure that the people who are going to be doing this portfolio workshop with us have at least 10 years of UX experience. So what's Anna's background? Though again, we don't know if she's running the workshop or if she's brought in other people. That part we don't know, but we can still take a look. So she's got Habit Factory face. Before that, she was a food runner at a fast food place. I'm sorry, the family business restaurant. Before that, she micro brand of product design, focusing on healthy design. So that's her own company. Fashion illustrator, project manager, and co founder. So, does she have 10 years of UX? I would say no. Does she have some experience that someone could say is design? Maybe. But I am not sure that this is the right thing to do. And by the way, if you have 14 days to spend on your portfolio, go do it. Because a lot of you complain that you don't have time to work on your portfolio. Go do it. And ultimately, when I think about what goes into a portfolio, I'm not sure you need 14 days for it. You just need to make sure that you've done good work and you can tell the story about it. So hard for me to decide here. The chat room's a little quiet. Where is everybody? I'm not seeing any of the usual comments. I guess we have to get into something more fiery and controversial, which of course is coming next. So everybody knows that as soon as we say Teresa Torres and usually Marty Kagan, that we are going to be looking at some sort of content that gives product managers the power to do UX work or control UX or the things like that. Elena says coffee is still kicking in. Well, you're in like Alaska or something, right? Ralitsa says it took me 2 months to do my portfolio. Well, probably not 60 days straight. Hello, Manash. So remember, I take Teresa with a grain of salt because she typically has these articles talking about, yes, product can do everything. Product does research, product does design, magically, product does everybody's job. Craig says, as a hiring person, I'd say the bit about the story is so important. I want to hear the thinking behind the designs and how they came about. Yeah, thank you. So again, Teresa, product managers love her because she empowers them to take over everybody's jobs. I usually don't love her because I feel like she's empowering everybody. She's empowering product managers to take over everybody's jobs. Ralitza says it was also writing and figuring WordPress out. Well, hopefully that's easier. Everybody search on YouTube Delta CX WordPress and you'll get my boyfriend's 2-hour video on how to set up your portfolio on WordPress. A 2-hour lesson completely free here on YouTube. So ultimately, in this article, Teresa says desirable, viable, and feasible is everybody's job. We're all responsible for all of these things, but then she never actually says how or why. She just gives examples of how if UX doesn't care if it's feasible or not, they're not going to build the right thing. And if someone doesn't care if it's whatever, it's not going to be right. Hi, I-10. So, I think that this article would get some low scores for me because I felt like it wasn't actionable. Because we could say, hey, ultimately, all of us have to be thinking about desirability, viability, and feasibility. Sure, we all have to think about it, but how, I wish that she talked and wrote more about what to do about the overlap between, especially product and UX, and she's helping to create that overlap. Pallavi says, Teresa's book was recommended to me by a product manager. Absolutely, of course. Product managers love her book and her training because they say product managers get to do research, they get to do design, they get to do pretty much everything. They get to do everybody's job because it's so important for them to be a part of all these things. And of course, where else would that work? If someone wrote a book that said, hey, we don't need a product manager. UX, you can do it. Marketing, you can do it. Forget the product managers. Well, the product managers would freak out. They wouldn't like that. So, where's that critical thinking? If you don't want it to happen to you in your job and in your industry, let's not do it to other people's jobs and roles and industries. Let's just not. Okay. Oh, I liked this article a lot. Thanks to the person who sent it to me. I had not seen it on my own, and Medium didn't recommend it to me, and I shared it on LinkedIn, and it's been a big hit. Hello, Drew. I really liked this article a lot. Absolutely 5 dogs out of 5. So this is a UX guy who says, hey, we opened up 2 positions, and I looked at 370 applications, and here's what I found. So I really like that he takes this it's even kind of a data approach. Now, not everything he says in here sounds great, and I'm not going to say I agree with 100% of it because we discussed it a bit when I posted it to LinkedIn. A couple of people said, "Hey, wait a minute, this doesn't add up." So it's not a perfect article, but I think he makes enough good points that it's worth taking a look at. I-10 says I sent this. Thank you, I-10. Always a superstar. So just kind of blowing through this very long article. First of all, okay, so this person, Jan, says, hey, we opened up junior UX designer, junior product designer. Now, notice that they're different for him. You know, we talk a lot about what are these roles and what do these titles mean, and I don't remember him totally saying it, so I don't think he said it. But I think that in a case like this, a UX designer would be more about information architecture and interaction design and UX, and a product designer is probably a little bit more on the UI, visual design, or branding side. That would be my guess. You know, we used to say someone in UX and someone in UI, and he's saying UX designer, product designer. So first he says, people don't actually read the important parts of a job description. Like, for example, we said we can't hire you if you're outside of the US, but over 15% of applicants were. And I think someone mentioned in my LinkedIn post of this article, like, well, was he clear about not giving a visa? Because people might have thought that they could apply from outside of the US and maybe they would get assistance on a work visa. I don't know, but that was a really good point when someone made it. Super critical thinking. Whoever wrote that, good job. For some odd reason, people think that just because they put UX or product designer in their job titles, that's all that matters. And we've talked about this on the channel before, that you can't just take jobs you've done and write UX in front of them, because people like Jan and me, Craig, other people here, you know, Darren, Nick, Sophie, Larry, people who aren't here, we can tell the difference. You can't just slap UX on a job and we go, oh yeah, that was a UX job. We can usually see through that, and fudging or lying does not win points. Definitely not. And he says 20% didn't even have a portfolio when they submitted the application. That's going to be tough in a portfolio based universe that we're in. 30% didn't have any link to their portfolio at all, not even in their resume or cover letter. So, for example, I have my portfolio URL in my resume so that even if the form doesn't ask for it, it is in my resume. So he's saying they didn't even have that. So I thought that was a great point. Hi, Elvina. Elvina says he also recommended some of the mentorships in the end of the article. What do you think about those? I'll take a look when we get there. We are just blowing through this. Attention to detail is non-existent. 70% of applicants had major detail flaws. And I think that's a huge deal. And of course, that's absolutely his right to feel like I'm going to hold you to a high standard for attention to detail, even as a junior. And I think that's fair, because even if you're still learning UX, you can still have good attention to detail. So he says, like, for example, I saw resumes that says I'm a UX or product designer, but when he got to the portfolio, it said I'm a web designer or I'm a web developer. So obviously the resume or other things had been adjusted for the job, but the portfolio was just the portfolio. Stop designing for yourself and start designing for your users. We talked about that in we've talked about that in a few episodes. Can I get the link to this article? Yeah, you know, Medium links are kind of ugly. I would probably say just Google for Medium 370 UX applications. I bet it'll come up, because I can try to put it in the chat, but YouTube sometimes blocks URLs. Let's try that. I think they block them from you, but not from me. So again, they're saying your portfolio looks cool and the portfolio is badly designed, and aren't you supposed to empathize with the person who's going to look at the portfolio? And these are all points I made. I made some of these in episode 54, which was portfolio do's and don'ts. It's an oldie. Copying others is how we learn, but come on. Oh, something just happened. Oh, thank you, Rebecca, for just subscribing. Very sweet. I could hear it, but I couldn't see it because I'm looking at the screen. Thank you so much. I know you can see it because it's an overlay, but I can't see it. Yeah, so they're saying only about 10% of portfolios I saw looked different or interesting. Now, I'm not saying they all have to be unique or interesting, and so maybe he's talking more about people using templates. I can get past the using templates thing if the storytelling and the process are good. And efforts goes a long way. 40% of portfolios had the same problem. A use case in Figma exported as a giant file. And there you go. So Elvina, oh, and then he talks about how we have boot camps have overproduced too many people calling themselves UX and product designers, which I agree with. Craig says the biggest pain of hiring is the time taken, often by managers who are already incredibly busy. So user-centered design is important here too. Make it easy for me to parse your work. Absolutely, Craig. We say that plenty of times here when we talk about portfolios. I'll skip to the end here because I thought he had a good point about how much we've flooded the market with people. And let's see. Elvina says, "What do you think about these mentoring resources at the end, ADP and Designed?" So most people know that I am not a fan of ADP List. I think it is probably more miss than hit. You should take a look at the background of the person, look them up on LinkedIn, make sure they have 5, 7, 10 years of experience. Otherwise, what are they telling you about? And make sure they're going to give you some tough love. You don't just want a cheerleader who's going to say, "Yay, your portfolio is great." I get so many portfolio reviews where people say, "Gee, I had a whole bunch of people look at my portfolio. They all said it was good, but I still can't get a job. You're the only person who told me what I need to change." So be careful that some of these people are so enjoying mentoring that they are not giving the tough love. They think it's their job to say, "Go, go, go." So I'm not terribly a big fan of ADP List or Designed. In general, I think find mentors by pinging the people who you like and trust and respect, people from your current job, people from your former job, people you like on LinkedIn. Some people mentor for free. Some people mentor and coach for paid. I do paid coaching. I give everybody one session for free, and then I do paid coaching. Why? Because I'm already giving so much time to this channel to give you free mentoring here through the channel. So there you go. All right, this was controversial post of the week. Who saw this one? I know a lot of people saw this one because I got it sent and then it was posted, I think, to the Slack, and then people are private messaging it to me. And so, first of all, let me say, UX Sanctuary is a friend of the show. This is someone who has been a guest on the show and we like him. However, we don't always agree with him, and that's okay. Elena says, yeah. Yeah, and the reality is that I don't even have to say too much about this one because and I did reply to it, as you'll see here. Almost everybody disagreed with this post and kind of ripped this person and their post apart. So, that being said, let's go through it with a little bit of critical thinking, and it's important to talk about it, and let's ask some questions and make some comments and see where might this person have gone wrong with their critical thinking. So this person starts out by saying, okay, UX research versus UX design. I saw two lengthy blog posts recently titled as follows: "I don't need a UX researcher. Designers can do research." Their point being that UX designers can do UX research. And "Should researchers make design recommendations?" Their point being that UX researchers can do design. And the premise of both of these is correct. Now, if you are a fan of the Friday show, you are probably going, "Whoa, whoa, wait a minute, Deb. I think a week or two ago, you did the 'I don't need a UX researcher' article. We did that one here on the show. What did she say again? Who remembers?" Because if you remember, she actually said, "I don't need a UX researcher. Designers can do research," was something a CEO had said to her, and she fought against it. So the article actually does not say that UX designers can do research. The article fights for UX researchers and designers to be separate, but This is my point from earlier today. You write a title like that because the clickbait force is strong, and someone like UX Sanctuary reads it and says, "Yep, that must be what she means. She means that UX designers can do research," when actually the whole article was to say the opposite. Ah, everybody, give your articles meaningful names that set people up for what they're going to be about. So this person continues to saying that separating UX research from UX design is contrived, suboptimal, and outdated, and that both of these articles could see that, which means that this person didn't read those articles. This person just stopped at the headlines, which again is the danger I warned you about earlier. UX research and design are not two different jobs in today's modern UX discipline. They're two steps in a single holistic process, and they're a single role. Now, I'm just going to stop here because he pretty much spends the rest of this trying to substantiate that. So, first of all, UX research and design are absolutely separate. They're often separate in education. You don't learn them at the same time. You learn them separately. They're often separate specialties. They're often separate jobs. They're often separate master's degrees. Are they part of a single process? Absolutely. Absolutely. We can trot out my old graphic that needs updating on user-centered design, which doesn't look that good on a white background. But yes, they're obviously part of the same user-centered design process. But here's the thing. If you talk about a single role, those of you who are fans of episode 116, and the joke here is if I say episode 116, you drink. Fans of episode 116 will remember that I put up a graphic, and I talked about what happens when we have a jack of all unicorns. What happens if we have that UX person who's supposed to do all the things, the research, the design? Well, that's when our agile buddies start saying, "You're not agile. You're so slow. You're not lean. You're waterfall." Because we have one person who's going to do all of the research, planning, recruiting, execution, analysis, synthesis, reporting and presenting, finding all of those themes and patterns and insights, opportunities, pain points, unmet needs. And now you have to do the information architecture, interaction design, prototyping, testing, iteration, cycle back, cycle back, cycle back, cycle back. There is no way that someone from the Agile, Scrum, or engineering universe is going to go, "That looks like a great, efficient process. I'm going to wait for that one person to do all that stuff." And if you remember episode 116, I showed a project at our company where we spent, I think it was over 300 hours on research over the course of a month or so, and over 200 hours on design over the course of a month or so because of the number of people I put on them. And my point was, if we had to wait for one person to do 500 hours of work, that's 19 weeks. There is no way anyone is going to say we are agile or efficient. So remember, even whether or not you agree or disagree, oh, designers can research, researchers can design, your peanut butter is in my chocolate's in the peanut butter. No matter what you think of that, remember that the more that we hybridize our roles, the more that engineering and product and our other coworkers say, "You're slow. I don't want to wait for all this. I don't want to wait for one person to do this." That's why I'm fighting for us to hire and hire and hire and specialize until we're not a bottleneck. So I disagree with this guy, and so did nearly everybody who replied. Some people were quite strong in their responses. If you find this post on the thing, I'll try to paste it into the YouTube chat. A number of people said delete the post. Tara, good to see you, Tara, said, "Is it then about proper planning to do parallel work streams?" Yeah, if you believe in dual track or tri-track agile, then you do have those multiple work streams happening at the same time. In tri-track agile, you do have a research work stream that is constantly researching and or testing something, either something we're working on now or something we're planning for the future because we plan ahead. And you have the second stream that is doing the prioritization, communication, the information architecture, the interaction design. Product is getting designs that are finalized. The product manager or owner is getting them ready to translate for engineering. That's all happening there. And then the third track is the engineering delivery stream. So whatever engineering is doing, however they want to do it. Stephanie says, I want peanut butter and jelly now. It's 7 p.m. I'm hungry. You are a hungry dinosaur. Yeah, so thank you, Tara. Great point and great reminder that when we are using multiple work streams happening at the same time, one person can't do that. At least they're not going to be able to do it well. Those are what I call moving target jobs, where, hey, you're supposed to be doing your research. Oh, but I was working on design. Okay, but we need that research. Okay, I'll stop designing to work on the research. And then it's ugly from there. All right, so bad news for UX Sanctuary, but I guess that person still agrees with themselves because they left it up despite multiple comments saying, take this down, it's wrong. Okay, this is a Medium article from 2017. So this article is almost 5 years old, and it says, yes, design thinking is BS, but we should promote it anyway. I would love to find this person today, 5 years later, and see if they still feel that way. Though they might, because I looked them up on LinkedIn and it looks like they have their own agency, and I would imagine as long as they were able to sell design thinking, then maybe they're happy with it. And basically, it's a bit of a response to the now semi-famous talk about design thinking from Natasha Jen. I think that's how she pronounces it. I apologize if it's Yen or something else, but it's an excellent talk, and people should check it out. There it is. And you can easily find it. Natasha Design Thinking is write out the word BS, and you'll find it. And this person tries to refute what Natasha says. And honestly, I skimmed through it, and I thought it was rather soft and not really a strong argument. Like, okay, design thinking is the recipe, and then our ability to do something good with it is the capacity, and that's what's going to create the results. Okay, great. So take a crappy recipe, put well-skilled people on it, and maybe it'll turn out okay. Craig says, oh, hold on. I have to send you a whole bunch of articles. Well, Craig, I don't have time for this. You'll have to send them for next week's show. Private message them to me on LinkedIn. We'll add them to next week's show. We try to do 5 each week, and today I have 15. So this show's already too long. Craig! Oh, gosh. Here he goes. I'll try to copy this. Can I copy this? He's sending them on LinkedIn, so I'm seeing them, and you might be seeing them on my screen. Oh no, it's Craig's. Yeah, Craig, I think you added my stuff to this. Thank you for that. Oh, you have Jared Spool on here. Boo, boo, Craig, boo. Yeah, I'm not even gonna bother with this. Oh, but she's on here. Is Natasha on here? I think I just saw her name. So, yeah, design thinking is failing. Yeah, remember, Spool, I think, is pushing these things, so look out for that. Yeah, LOL, says Craig. Yeah, so I thought this person didn't really have strong arguments. Design thinking is more than post-its. Okay, but that, so, yeah. Critique isn't in a hexagon, but it's baked into the process. I disagree. I haven't seen critique baked into any design thinking process. In fact, it's anti-critique because we don't critique the ideation. We just vote for the winner. We don't go through a crit session. We just say, oh, okay, here's all the sketches and ideas that we have. Let's vote for the winner. So no, I don't see critique baked into the design thinking process. I don't see it at all. Oh, it's your list of critiques of design thinking. Yeah, but look out for Spool because he's got something to sell. So I disagree with him here when he says critique is baked into the process because I have not yet heard about anybody adding design critiques into design thinking. What else is this point? Design thinking is a means, not an end. I hear this one a lot. I hear a lot, well, design thinking is a tool, and it's just a tool in our arsenal, and we can use that tool when it's right. And I always say to a real qualified UX person, when is it right? When would you use design thinking versus user-centered design? Oh, well, we're under pressure to go fast and be agile and be lean. Well, you could apply that to user centered design. You don't have to use design thinking. You can treat the user centered design process strategically, and you can pick and choose what you're doing. I cannot handle reaction requests right now if whatever you're sending me is going to be on next week's show. A little bit of design thinking can overinflate egos and self perceptions of creative greatness, but so can a lot of fancy, expensive design school education. To me, these are just logical fallacies. What is your point? This doesn't seem meaningful. This doesn't seem actionable. This doesn't seem helpful. It's 5 years old, and now what? Craig says Jared always has something to sell, but I did agree with his article. Some of his stuff, particularly about A B testing, we've had lots of arguments about. Yeah. We're going to be ripping Spool apart on Wednesday's show. So join me this coming Wednesday, where I'll be talking about Jared Spool is your gatekeeper. So you're going to have to Google harder to have evidence that design thinking is good. So anyway, not interested in this guy. 0 dogs for him. He's trying too hard. And of course, he's got an agency selling design services, so he probably wants to discredit what Natasha said, so he's got something to sell. Pass. Okay. Someone sent me this one. And excuse me, and it was so interesting that I did comment on it, as you can see. Excuse me, I think I'm going to have to switch to chloroseptic today. All right. So Jen Romano, who I guess used to be Jen Romano Bergstrom, oops, sorry. I hope you're doing okay. Says that okay, see you Wednesday, Craig. Said I'm happy to announce that someone I don't know and I do know who Jen is. I met her many years ago at I think a UXPA conference, maybe I don't know 2016 or something. I know that she charges a lot per hour because we had that in one of the shows. We went and saw her hourly coaching rate. We were all like, whoa. Um, we're going to provide a new kind of coaching geared toward helping companies establish UX teams. Are you a company ready to set up your team and you don't know where to start? Have you found that there are mostly junior level people available for the senior level roles you want to fill? Would you like to keep the budget low by hiring junior level folks, but you want senior level quality? Do you have a research team of 1 and you want them to be supported by senior researchers? We can do this. And as my comment said here, as you can see, I offer this service. It's on my website now. It's called Fractional CXO. I offer this now where hypothetically I can come in and support your teams and help you hire juniors and act as a coach to them, reviewing their work and making sure their work ends up higher quality without typical junior mistakes because I'm looking at it and it's passing through my quality checks and I'm teaching them as they go. And I have to tell you, nobody's going for it. And if she can get someone to go for it, because she certainly has more connections than I might have, then good for her. But number one, I have found that people don't want that because they think that they can just hire juniors and give them work. Why would they need a coach? These juniors are qualified for the job, right? Let's bring them in, give them a project, go. A lot of companies don't want to support juniors and don't want to teach or coach them. So I was concerned that she's got this kind of business model thing that is unlikely to be something people want. And then the other thing I said was, also, are you going to end up coming into a company and being the coach for the product managers who want to do UX work? I could see you being hired to coach a bunch of product managers who want to do research and do design. Will you say no to that? Will you say no because that works against the UX profession? It works against good outcomes. It works against morale. If that happened to Jen, would she accept that job? Would she turn it down and tell them, no, 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 you need to hire UX juniors because these people are going to have a career in UX. I'm not going to coach a product manager. Who knows? But I got 19 likes. So some people had similar concerns. So good luck to Jen, but I don't know. Oh, I didn't look at what she's charging. We should take a look at that. Time, revel in time. You are the one. Sign up today. So what do you think her coaching costs now? So everybody, oh, here it is. $300 an hour. She's raised her prices. So I guess that's good. Good for her. Not good for people who believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion, but good for her. UXR Advisory Board. It looks like it's a contact. Yeah, just contact us. So we don't know what this costs. We don't know. Yeah, we don't know. But it could be 300 an hour. Who can say? All right. This post got sent to me, and I wasn't too sure why. It says, not saying any more about this matter, UX is not UI, and that's the T. Okay, UX is not UI, but this graphic doesn't help. Because are you saying that UI is content? Are you saying that UI cares about input devices, but UX doesn't? Are you saying UI decides where the action button goes or what it looks like, and UX doesn't? I didn't get this graphic at all. So I can agree that UX is not UI, but what? But I definitely don't agree with this graphic. What do y'all think? I mean, I've seen UX versus UI graphics that are better than this, but this one doesn't make sense. That I would think if I saw this that they write the content. They decide where the buttons go. They decide what the user controls will be. They do the interaction design maybe. I don't get it. So, I'm going to go with no on this one. Yeah. Craig says, not this again. Jatine says, 0 dogs. Kayla says, not very well thought out graphic. And Elliot says, UI is tools? Yeah, doesn't make sense. Let's move on. Okay, get ready for the clickbait to end all clickbaits. Clickbait, clickbait, clickbait. So this is IDF, who y'all know I run hot and cold on, usually a little bit more cold than hot, though of course I've heard they have some good courses. And obviously, this is clickbait for, hey, graphic designers, you can easily become a UX designer. Now, if the question is, how do you change your career from graphic design to UX design? My answer to that question is, you're going to have to learn UX design. Like, there isn't a lot that translates graphic design to UI design. Ooh, much closer, more, definitely easier to transfer from graphic design or brand design to UI design. Still some things to learn, but more translatable skills. Graphic design to UX design, well, now you're going to have to learn cognitive psychology, human behavior, and all kinds of things related to information architecture, interaction design, maybe a little bit of at least understanding of content strategy, how to work with the research artifacts and insights that you are given that will inform your design. Oh, Elena says, I just got a push notification for this article and I'm not a designer. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. So of course we know that it's clickbait because we've started with what? Look how much money you can make. Look how much money you can make if your title is UX designer versus graphic designer. So you know what? Go for the money. It's clear it can be a very rewarding move to UX design. Hands up, who finds working in UX design rewarding? Niku says, the graphic with the branded t-shirt, subliminal message vibes. Right, the graphic designer. Oh, good catch, Niku. Hey, Niku, how's your world in Canada? Yes, the graphic designer does not have an IDF shirt, but the UX designer is IDF trained, certified, whatever. Oh, Niku wins for today's critical thinking prize. Beautifully done. I didn't even see that. Whew. This is critical thinking, y'all. Niku wins. UX designers tend to be concerned with look, feel, and usability. Anyone agree with that? Anyone disagree with that? The look of a product is about creating visual appeal. Kayla says, really depends on what kind of graphic design you did. Some research knowledge would translate, but yeah, it's a whole new world. What do graphic design and UX design have in common? Lara says, IFDA logo, and they're happier. Really? Oh, yes, Lara wins also. Small smile for the graphic designer, giant happy smile for the UX designer. And a styled haircut, Craig says. That's right, it's like before and after on a shampoo commercial. Look at this great critical thinking today. You all are amazing. This is so fantastic. Um, quick note, everybody. I am holding a 1 day, on April 6th, I'm holding a 1 day thing. Let me pull it up on my website quickly, deltacx.com. Transforming toward customer centricity as a 1 day training. You can find it here if you go to my website, hit training, hit transforming toward customer centricity. It's only $97 for the whole day. Or if you're paying for this out of pocket, it is $27, and you can pick which one you want to pay. I'm not asking for any proof or for you to claim hardship. I think that's BS and insulting and disrespectful. So you pick what you want to pay. So check out Transforming Toward Customer Centricity. All right, back on this wacky world. Good spotting, everybody. Great jobs. Holy cats. Oversimplified, says Faye. Yeah, so this graphic I think caught the eye of the person who sent it in. They were like, "What?" So let's zoom in on it. The graphic designer is pixel focused, okay, specialized, sure, in graphic design, emotional design, creative thinking, and prototyping. I don't think of a graphic designer as a prototyper. So I would, I'm not saying they can't, but I would usually think that is not their job. If I'm doing interaction design, I don't pass it off to the graphic designer to be prototyped. So I don't think that is an overlapping skill necessarily. The UX designer is user focused. I'm not sure I'd agree with that either. I mean, to me, everybody at our company can be user focused. Everybody at our company can be customer centric and care about the users and prioritize their needs. Not everybody's a UX designer, but anybody can be user focused. So I don't think that's just for UX designers. Multidisciplinary, only for UX designers? Not necessarily. Some graphic designers know animation, 3D rendering, logo, branding. They might be multidisciplinary also. So this seems like a little bit of a false thing, but I think this is what happens when, and it's really important for us to take a moment to take a look at who wrote the article. Because, I'm always talking to y'all about this. You have to make sure that you are looking at who wrote these articles and who are they and what's their background. So let's see if I can find this person on LinkedIn. Oops, was that how it is spelled? Teo Xiang. I'm sorry, I might not pronounce that correctly. Okay, this looks like a common name. That's going to be a hard person to find. There's a U in there. No. Does it go here? Okay. Here we go. Hard to say? Hard to say. They look like they do have some experience. But sometimes when I see articles like this, I feel like they came from Google. Like someone Googled a bunch of stuff and then kind of glued it together. So I would expect someone who has that many years working in product design or UX to have come up with a stronger argument here. Um, Lara says multidisciplinary, another expectation to be a unicorn. Faye says sound like a brand designer. Kayla says graphic design should be user focused. Octavio says Debbie, this is a little out of topic, but what do you think about whiteboard challenges? I'm completely against them. Just go to YouTube and write Delta CX challenge, and you'll probably get 2 or 3 videos about how I'm against them. Now they're breaking this down. The differences between graphic design user-focused versus pixel-focused. No, sometimes both of us have to do both. Iterative problem solving. w- uh, I'm not going to tell a UI designer that they're not a problem solver. They could be solving visual accessibility issues. So I think we can really stop here. This just seems to be a bit of a clickbaity thing to get people to join IDF and have a better hairstyle and a happier smile and and a logo on their chest. I'm surprised they didn't give her bigger boobs or who knows what. They should have really gone for it there. So pass on this, but again, I tend to be against Interaction Design Foundation for a number of reasons. We've ripped them to pieces in these shows in the past. Okay, here's Nathan Lindsay. And we're running really late. This is almost an hour show now, and we have 5 more things. So let's just quickly say Nathan had an interesting post that I think is worth looking at. And basically, he's saying, someone says, ooh, this video game has bad UX and blah, blah, blah. And he's trying to say, but if the game is a hit and you think the UX is bad, maybe it's you. If the game is a smash hit, maybe the UX works for the target user, whether or not you like it. I thought it was an interesting point. I would give him some dogs for that. Drew says, with design thinking for me, I think it's based on the project. Using design thinking for discovery is great for enterprise. IBM as a free course. Nope, Drew, I completely disagree with you. Abso-smurfly not. No, no, no. Design thinking is never good for anything, and don't bother with IBM's free courses. No, no, no. You can absolutely use user-centered design for product discovery. You can use task-oriented design, as I recommend. We should stop rushing, right, Craig? Craig's the expert. We should stop rushing through discovery processes and going with guesses and what everybody voted for as their favorite. That's, what are the outcomes of this? Does anyone have success criteria? And is anyone looking at the outcomes and what these things cost? Okay, someone sent me this article from a couple of years ago, pre-pandemic. UX research, objectives, assumptions, and hypothesis. When planning UX research, you should have a goal in mind, find something out about users, identify issues in a solution. Then you're going to see how will your research objectives help to reach that goal? What assumptions have you made that are necessary for objectives to reach that goal? I was surprised there. I really thought that assumptions would be something that you're hoping to dispel rather than assumptions that are necessary? How does your research meet objectives? What kinds of responses do you need from your participants to meet those objectives? This sounds strange. Like, to me, whether I'm doing generative or evaluative research, I'm totally open to whatever responses people give me. Like, I'm not going, well, I'm going to ask them these things, and I really hope to hear this. You might end up skewing your research, consciously or subconsciously. Craig says garbage in, garbage out. Drew says it seems separate than under an umbrella. I don't know what that means. Kayla says UX in games is interesting. Sometimes the bad UX is part of the experience. It's a strange dichotomy. Yeah, sometimes the bad UX is to keep you playing or keep you guessing. One approach is to write your objectives in the form of a hypothesis. Research hypothesis. Users want to be able to filter products by color. Okay, so I think I'm unique here. I wonder if Craig will agree or disagree with me today. But I actually advise against research hypotheses. I know that sounds strange because you always hear the scientific method and academic research and make sure you have a hypothesis. But to me, I think a hypothesis can accidentally flaw our research because if we start out with, I think people want to filter products by color, we might not do the right research to learn how they want to filter. Do they want to filter at all? Do they care about color? What do they care about? We might over-focus on the thing we're trying to prove or disprove and miss some of the rest of the forest. Oh, good, Larry's here. Predefined research objectives can inadvertently bias your observations. Thank you, Larry. I believe the same thing. I think not only can you bias the observations, but you'll bias the whole planning, because you might say, well, we believe that people want to filter by color, so let's drop them on our website on the search page and tell them they're looking for a blue shirt. Well, come on, everybody. Come on, you just totally biased that in the planning. Forget about the observation. So I would have to say I believe in not using hypotheses. I don't use them in my own research. Larry and I have done some projects together. We don't use them in our research. Lara says, I find that with video games, players tend to overlook bad UI. They enjoy the gameplay and focus on it more. Most of the time, the UI isn't the main interaction anyway. Doesn't mean we should ignore it or blame the player. Faye says, yeah, I agree. Thank you. My professor had the same thoughts on hypothesis. Craig says, yep, I agree with you. Starting the wrong way to uncover or discover problems. The hypothesis for your response to the problem uncovered. And Drew says, I disagree with that. Hard to know what that is, since sometimes people are not live on the show. They're talking about something else. But if it's design thinking, Drew, you and I are just going to disagree. Design thinking is 100% garbage. It's not a UX process. And I would like you to please read my new Medium article about was design thinking designed to not work? Because my hypothesis is it was designed to not work. Alrighty, so that's enough of that. We're running late and we still have 2 more to go, so let's take a look. Well, one of them's really short. Craig says, a hypothesis needs a because statement. I don't use them in research, but maybe when I get to an A-B test. Sure, for an A-B test, we're certainly hypothesizing that B is better and possibly Y, and we could be right or wrong, so I think that makes sense. Akash Solanki, who I don't think I know, but seems to have a lot of followers, good for him, says, Dear designers, academics is not relevant anymore. Proof of work is what companies count today. Okay, so this is what is called a false choice or false dichotomy logical fallacy. Critical thinking hats on. Who else is a fan of logical fallacies? Me! So what happens is these false choices or false dichotomies basically say, well, it's really this or this. Hey, look, either you're going to have academics or you're going to have proof of work. Hey, you don't need academics because you're going to have proof of work. And I think that these are completely separate. So are academics relevant? Sure. I definitely see people with bachelor's and master's degrees, usually master's degree people are getting jobs faster than people with bachelor's or non-degree education. So are academics not relevant? I don't think so. Is proof of work what companies look for? Yeah, definitely. People are looking for storytelling and process. But that doesn't mean, maybe this is a bad syllogism, that doesn't mean, no, not syllogism, just bad logic, really. That doesn't mean that academics aren't relevant or that you shouldn't pursue any learning or study or academics. Academics can help you get ahead. Larry Marine says scoreboard, baby, which is Larry's way of saying prove it. Where is this guy's proof? You know, perhaps he didn't get an academic degree and he's successful, so he's decided this is true for everyone. But it might not be. And especially in the competitive world we're seeing now where newbies are having trouble getting jobs, I'm finding the people with the master's degrees are getting jobs faster than others. So are academics not relevant? I think they're relevant. Are they required? Not required. You can definitely get a UX job without academics relating to UX. I have a bachelor's in music, and last year I finished an MBA. So I technically have no UX education that is on the academic level. But that, but you can still, academics are still good, recommended, helpful. There you go. So the last one, because we're pretty much out of time anyway, usually y'all send me 4 things. This time you send a zillion. The last one is obviously just a bit of a joke and a bit of a laugh, but it's been going around. It's been going viral in the community, and it is fun. It is the Webflow people made a fake, stereotypical product design portfolio, and it's called Honest UX Design Portfolio at Webflow. You can see the link to it. I'll drop it in the YouTube chat. And it's pretty funny. It basically makes fun of a lot of the standard things you see in portfolios. Like, I'm not a 3D designer, but I downloaded a cool 3D graphic to make you think I am. And selected projects. The first project has a fake password on it, which is funny. Um, and then, fake projects and, making fun of the different layouts and the way people describe their project. So, all of this masonry and why is everything on an angle? It's not exactly 45 degrees. Maybe it's 30. I don't know. But yeah. And of course, this style of design. So, yeah. I thought this was funny and certainly too true. And maybe it wasn't the Webflow people. Who does it say who this is? Oh yes, I have 15 years of working in Figma. When of course Figma's been around for what, 4 or whatever. So this was cute, and I don't know who did this, but that's cute. I wonder if they give away who they really are. Oh, I like this. I transform into a 10x designer when I put on a Figma hat. Figma. Anyway, not too sure who this is, but I thought this was cute. Say hi. Will we find out who it is? No, we still don't know who it is. Anyway, I thought that was cute. Faye says, there's been a lot of bad takes this week. Yeah, usually I'll send me 4 or 5 things and we blow through them and it's a little bit jolly. These were definitely some ugly moments with a few bright moments. Let's remember we had some bright moments at the beginning of the hour, and then we kind of descended into some ugly moments. So I will see if I can switch back to a giant me. And I'll tell you about what's coming up on the show because we do have some cool things coming up. Like Monday, Larry will be a guest, along with Stephanie, right? Steph and Larry. Oh, bye, Craig. Have a good weekend. Bye. See you soon. Um, Monday, we'll be doing a fresh Think Out Loud with special guests Stephanie and Larry based on something Sirocco sent in. Tuesday is double office hours. I'll be doing 10 a.m. Italy time, and I will be doing 6:30 p.m. Italy time. Some places have daylight savings this weekend, and I don't, so check the times. We might be off by an hour. Wednesday, the 16th, I will be reading my new Medium article out loud and opening it up for conversation, questions, and discussions. And this is my new Medium article on gatekeepers and how Jared Spool is one of your gatekeepers and why I believe that is true and why we should dump him already. Of course, every Friday is the critical thinking stream, as we did today. And remember that if you want to send something in, or if you have any questions about the stream, your answers are probably here at deltacx.com/links. If you enjoyed this stream, please subscribe over here on YouTube and find 3 people who you know would be interested in sharpening up their critical thinking. Ooh, we did a great job today. Y'all saw some things I missed. Ooh, super, super. Come and join these streams and tell 3 people. I challenge everyone to tell 3 people about this. Let's see. After that, let's see. Tuesday, the 22nd, office hours will be a little bit earlier because I have a talk I'm doing. Wednesday, the 23rd, I'm going to put together some slides and I'm going to do a show based on some things I've been asked privately recently, which is about self-publishing, publishing courses online, publishing to Amazon. Do you want to, what's in a contract with a publisher? Things like that. So we're going to be talking about, if you do want to get into writing or courses, what kind of money can you make and what kinds of things should you look out for in some of these contracts? Because some of them are slippery. So that'll be March 23rd. Let's see. Yeah, and then eventually we're falling into April. So again, over on the deltacx.com/link site, we do have an event calendar. So if you are curious about this, it is a Google Calendar. You can add it to your Google Calendar, and then you will see our schedule all the time. So on that note, I'm going to wind it up and play us out of here. Everybody, please be safe and have a good weekend. Thanks for joining in. It was super fun. Great to see lots of people joining live in both LinkedIn and YouTube. And I guess I will see everybody Monday for the Think Out Loud adventure. Bye.
Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are